Happy Thursday. Welcome to Conscious Business Talks. I'm here with you and it's a fantastic day. So today I wanted to talk about something that often goes unheard. Think of it, the silence, and that isn't actually silent, but what you're not hearing actually heralds the departure of people who are really important in your life, in your business. Hey, Matt, so happy that you're here. Actually thrilled. So yeah, the silence that really heralds the departure of the people who are important in your life, in your business, to the opportunities and possibilities that are there for you, but they actually never get realized. The potential of them never gets reached because of something that you didn't hear. And I'll ask you this. How do you feel when you're trying to communicate what's important to you to somebody on the other side of the table, sometimes on the same side of the table, but you do not feel you're being heard? And now put yourself in the shoes of the people who are in the other seat, who are trying to communicate with you, who are trying to be heard, who are trying to share something that's important to them because they want to join forces in one shape, way, or form and another with you. But they don't end up ever taking that step because in getting to that step, what they were sharing to them felt unheard. So it's that distinction between listening, hearing, and listening. So I wanted to, hey MJ, so great to have you. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. When people are trying to be heard, they want to be heard, but they're feeling that they're not being heard. All of the opportunities that may come from that actually never get realized. As I mentioned, the potential of what could be, what is there already, never actually gets realized, achieved, and attained because of that distinct feeling of disappointment that leads to distrust and disbelief and faith that what is important to them matters to you, right? So that distinction actually, hey Vicky, darling, how are you? So glad that you're joining me. Let me take a sip of my, okay, this is for Robin, tea. Vicky, my coffee is not in my hands. I'm sorry. But my throat is dry, so I'm going to take that because I cannot seem to speak. But yeah, it's that feeling that comes from not being heard, right? And when one does not feel heard, then it leads to a lack of faith that what matters to them matters to you, or vice versa, right? It's not hard for me to put myself in somebody else's shoes and say, okay, so when I'm trying to be heard, when I'm sharing my heart, when I'm really saying, oh, this is important to me because what I'm seeing is this, but what I'm experiencing is this, and there is a disconnect between what I thought was there and what I'm feeling as my experience. And that disconnect leads me to share with you that, hey, can we do something about it? But the problem is when I'm sharing that and I'm hearing back an entirely different jargon, sometimes scripted, that makes me feel that, oh, either they didn't hear me or what they heard, it doesn't matter because what the script is paramount. What their objectives are paramount. I gotta show this. Vicky says, what? No coffee? Okay, I love coffee. I have coffee, but I was running, like, I'm like, I need a drink. And the tea was already there. So I scammed some tea and ran downstairs. But yeah, I gotta have me some coffee next time just to make up for it. But you can tell Robin that I have tea. So hey. So I got to thinking, it's those silent footsteps. The image that came to my mind was those silent footsteps of opportunities going away from you, of collaborations that could have been, of relationships that could have been stronger and cemented, of ambassadors who would have carried what you are introducing and bringing to the world farther into the world, like as amazing fervent admirers and ambassadors of yours. And but all of that lost because they did not feel heard. And this holds import both in personal as well as professional life, right? Because I don't think there's anybody in this world who does not like the feeling, who likes the feeling of being unheard. People want to be seen. People want to be heard for who, at least I believe, for who they are, right? It's a wonderful feeling when we feel understood. And yet the opposite end of that spectrum is an awful feeling when you believe that what is important to you, what you're bringing with you, what you're putting on the table is not of importance to the other side, right? Relationships, both personal and professional, can be lost because of that. And even if they stay, the strength, the foundational strength of those relationships never comes to be, like it's weak, because the trust, the faith, the belief in that relationship, of shared objectives, of the ability to have collaborations is just lost. So give me 1 second, please. I have attendees, except they're having their own conversation. So Matt says, I have a cabinet with 6 square feet of teas, and he forgets coffees because they share space. I don't think it's 6 feet. Okay, now I'm feeling weird. No, it's not quite 6 feet. Okay, maybe 5.5. No, actually, not even. But yeah, I like my tea and my coffee. I like different types of teas and coffees. Matt Roadhouse is spilling the beans. Now, Vicky, you gotta come and witness it for yourself, right? And we'll have some amazing coffee, and you can tell me which ones you like. But I experiment with different ones. Anyway, that's a topic that we can definitely get into, because I end up being a tea and a coffee connoisseur because I like me some tea and coffee. But hey. So tell me, what are your thoughts about this listening versus hearing and the feeling of being heard versus unheard, right? Tell me what you think, because this is where, okay, Matt's down a rabbit hole. I'm totally not going to highlight what he's talking about. You guys will just have to read it. Okay. So I'm looking to hear what you have to say. Share with me, other than tea and coffee, Matt. That's for you. But so I'm going to share an example from real life. Okay, there is this organization. I like what I heard of their mission, and I was genuinely excited to join forces with them and actually further and promote and share their cause. And Vicky says, we're on a tangent. We should totally do a tea and coffee show. How's that for an idea? I'd love to have a tea and coffee show. You guys bring yours, I'll bring mine, and we will just end up talking about this, because what Matt is not sharing is that Yes, very much so. What Matt is not sharing is that he actually wanted me to help launch a tea. And was it coffee also, Matthew, or was it just tea? But he wanted me to help him launch a tea business. So, and he wanted to travel to bring to light and highlight and showcase different areas where tea is being produced, and different types of teas with different health benefits and so on. So let's just deepen that rabbit hole. And how about we just commit to doing a show entirely on tea and one on coffee, and then we can go nuts, because I can tell you there's some amazing research into coffee too that I've been geeking out about for the last few years, and definitely things to explore over there. So anyway, this particular organization, I was so excited about their mission, because I thought, this is so needed. I really want to be a part of this. I want to help them succeed. I want to support their cause. Let's go do this. And as things happen, as they were growing, part of their model actually included investments, like investor funds, venture capital, and so on. And I saw the evolution of their model, which in any business, you launch something, you tweak it, you experiment with it, and you see what you need to change, and maybe the direction kind of meanders back and forth, right? And I think I'm going to change directions. MJ actually wants to know what would the topics be, and how much Vicky is like, how much better coffee is than tea, and that would be obvious, yes, wouldn't it? Because we need to have Robin on the show, and then Vicky, you and Robin can tell me how much weight is going on which side, coffee versus tea. This is a more fun show than talking about just business, isn't it? But yeah, so as the investors came into the picture, the model, however, shifted from what the mission was to what was attractive to the investors. And as that continued to happen and evolve, I felt the separation from the mission. Now, granted that as we were talking, there was also, I think, some distance in communication also, but I was invited to consider being part of their model and be featured on their website, right? And I was definitely honored. I feel privileged that they were considering me for it. However, as I was considering that invitation, I got to thinking, does it resonate with what my purpose is and how I'm feeling right now in the experience that I'm having of this particular organization? And frankly speaking, I felt that what I was sharing was actually not being heard. It wasn't even being acknowledged. It was just being, and then shifted to the side and back to what, their objective was. And I confess that created a distance between my engagement, my shared destination of what I thought was the shared destination. Because I'm like, if I'm hearing this, are other people also hearing this? And in which case, does it become an organization only interested in what they're bringing to the investors and what the investors are interested in seeing? And at what point does it become a short-term goal with an exit strategy versus something that is truly brought into the world for the benefit of their clients, their customers, the consumer, so to speak? And yeah, Vicky, you're absolutely right. It really did feel like I had that sinking feeling, and I'm thinking, I do not feel the connection. what the original mission was wonderful. It was an amazing idea. The whole idea was that this is what is needed for people who are launching business ideas to make life simpler for them. I absolutely love the concept, right? And however, now I'm hearing investors, what is sexy for the investors, what, and definite, like, revenue is, you can't distance or disconnect revenue and profit conversations from a business. You just can't. There isn't a business without that financial fuel that goes everywhere. That's how I refer to it. It's the financial fuel that is just enriching and fueling different areas of your life and your business, right? However, for me, it's the priority, right? The priority is the people. Once you are focused on what you're bringing to the people, the value that you're creating from them, the purpose for them, the purpose that you feel connected to as you bring into life the things you want to do for these people, man, that just makes everything sparkle with incredible energy. Your distinction is already guaranteed by how you're showing up. How does revenue and profit not follow? Right? And that was my you're right. Some are still just about profit. And I don't get excited about organizations that are only about profit, because most of the time, actually, tell me if this is your experience, but most of the time I find that they're so focused on revenue that their profit actually is suffering. And how are we talking long-term profit that ties into your legacy and continuity, which to me a corporation is about, right? Continuity. It's just built into what a corporation is, but it does not stick to that promise of continuity if your goal is very short-term revenue and profit. It just can't. And when you take your focus off the people, unfortunately, a lot of times you're making very short-term decisions because you're only thinking about the share price, and that cannot help but show up in how you communicate. Your branding, even if it's amazing, you've spent a ton of money into the branding and the image build and advertising and marketing to kind of support it, it feels empty, because human beings are connected creatures. We can feel when something does not feel authentic and real to us, right? And a lot of that goes into that listening and hearing and making, not just pretending that you're hearing, but actually being present for that conversation, and what I refer to as the conversation behind the conversation. Because sometimes it isn't the conversation, it's literally the conversation behind the conversation that you got to pay attention to and say, I'm present, I'm listening to you, tell me what's important. And sometimes you're not able to give what the other side is asking for because it's not realistic. But in making sure you are paying attention, you're present for that conversation, you are making sure you're hearing them, a solution presents itself that may not have been what they were asking for originally, but ends up serving them even more powerfully. And that relationship is not lost. The promise of that collaboration comes into being, right? It becomes realized. And that to me is the power of entrepreneurship, of showing up to do business in a way that just ties into and promotes the continuity of the business organization. It lives beyond you. Other players may enter into it. Other people may pick up the baton and just run with it and carry it for you long after you're gone. But the organization continues, and that ties into the concept of legacy. And I'm not just talking about your children or grandchildren carrying it, although that would be awesome, but maybe it's other people who believe in what you are bringing into the world, what you create and share with people. And they share your values and want to continue with it, right? That's the awesome power of continuity of a business organization, right? So let me take a look at, oh man, Vicky, there's no fun. There's no fun when the focus is always profit, 100%. Because, and it's you know of all people, that profit isn't just profit, right? There is long-term profit versus very short-term profit that disappears. And companies, it breaks my heart, because when I think about Eastman Kodak and what they brought and the kind of organization they were, right? And the kind of organization they became, and then the lack of continuity of that organization because of the change from who they were to who they ended up being, right? And not listening, not being present for what was going on around them, right? So, and they're not the only ones. There's, oh man, so many organizations. It blew me away that Sears was gone. Like Matt's mom was a Sears, like, I know that she was always talking about Sears and what the quality of things and so on. And then Sears gone. And how many organizations in the financial industry, that was so close to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys were household names. These were brand leaders, and gone because the focus was on short-term profits versus the long-term, more lasting game of business, right? And this is the one I was trying to highlight, right? The conversation behind the conversation is always what's happening, even if they don't want to know the truth of it, right? But as human beings, we can tap into that, right? That feeling that says, I'm just not even scratching the surface. There's something behind. But when you're present for that conversation, you get to show up and ask, hey, tell me more. Right? But you got to be present for the conversation to clue in and ask, tell me more. What's really bothering you? Hey, what can we do that makes you feel valued, but also makes us feel like, hey, we can do this. Let's find a way. There's always a way. How do you find the way? And Matt says, I think many of us look for organizations that make people an important part. Costco is a big company, but while you're in the store, it's easy to find a person who's willing and happy to communicate with you. Absolutely. And the thing is, and Vicky says Costco is a great business and workplace. That's what I hear. And beyond hearing, that's what I feel. Because when you enter a business and the people who work there are willing to show up and be interested in you, you can tell that the organization is interested in them, right? Because when people feel not valued, when they feel not heard, they don't show up to serve you as powerfully. At least that's my experience with both my own business, with my clients, with my friends, with, just that's what you witness, right? So this is, I want to wrap up with the thought that it actually breaks my heart to confess that I am seriously considering declining their invitation, because in fact, I know I'm unless things really change, I'm not entertaining the thought of accepting their invitation, primarily because I do not believe that I am heard. And a lot of my ideas are, it's weird. The way my brain is wired, I don't just think about it as the benefit to me, right? When I'm sharing ideas, the ideas are bringing my experience, what I know of as a consumer, as an insider, so to speak, of other organizations where things are working well and things are not working well, and what I feel are the gaps in the industry, because I genuinely want them to succeed. So when I'm seeing the narrowing of the focus more and more only to what is sexy to the investors, it makes me take a deep breath and go, I thank you, but no thank you. And that is a pity, because collaborations are powerful. Partnerships are definitely powerful. Ambassadors who are almost evangelical about promoting your cause, you cannot buy them. You cannot, because that authentic promotion of somebody else's ideology, and dreams, that comes from the heart. And my heart feels disconnected. And when I'm thinking I feel disconnected, I'm genuinely makes me wonder how many other people are feeling disconnected, and how long, despite venture capital infusion, how long are you playing this game for? Because to me, this game of business, and to me it's a game that we like bring our creativity and fun and play into. We elevate the levels that we are playing. We bring better and better players onto it, because we want to make it an experience that's so freaking rich for all the people who interact with it, that other people want to join you in this game, right? So, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. And 100% Matt, an infinite game where the baton just passes from incredibly amazing, rich players, rich of heart, rich of creativity, rich of purpose, to just continue that game, right? It just continues on, because you are forever focused on how can you make it better for the people who are interacting with your business. How can you make it better for everybody associated with you and your business? Your own life cannot help but become even richer because of it. And with that, my friends, we're going to wrap up for today. It was so amazing having you with me. And we're definitely going to have a show about tea and coffee, because I cannot wait to dive deeper into that conversation with you. And you'll bring your own beverages, I'll bring mine, and we'll just geek out about it. No, it was actually fun. It just made me realize we got to have this conversation. And with that, thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. With that, I've learned from Vicky herself, you cannot leave without the music.